DreamHack Open is brought to you by Corsair, Monster Energy, Esport Management, Windows 10, Omen by HP, and GGBet.
Hello and welcome to Championship Sunday here at the DreamHack Open at the Ahoy Arena in Rotterdam, baby. It has been an action-packed 2 days so far, and the third is going to be bigger and even better than the days before it, because tonight, one of our 8 teams will be lifting that trophy and taking home 50% of that $100,000 prize pool. Just 4 teams remain, one of them in the top 10 of the world, and the others not far behind and hot on their heels. My name is Frankie Ward. I'm your desk host for today. And before we get started and meet my wonderful analysts, I just need to say thank you to a few fantastic sponsors. And they are Corsair, they are Monster Energy, Esports Management, Omen by HP, and Windows 10. Thank you so much to them, because we could not do this without them, and I could not do my job without these two. Potter and Blair, welcome, welcome. I'm loving this coordination. We've got the red, we've got the blue. I've let the side down by wearing pink, Potter, but how are you doing this morning?
Great, great. I can't wait to get these matches started. We had a long day yesterday, but man, this morning it's going to be a banger.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are expected favorites, so to speak. Yeah, we don't have the Extreme in the squad. They didn't manage to make their way here, but Heroic replacing them, well, that's great. And honestly, I'm ready. I didn't have enough sleep, but it doesn't really matter. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Also, actually, I noticed I am wearing white. There we go. Okay.
All right.
White, blue, red. We're America, we're Britain, we're EU, and I love it. Okay, let's take a look at what happened yesterday, just to remind ourselves of the fights that got 4 of our teams here. Well, 2 of them, in fact, because 2 of them actually qualified on the first day. Here we go. So, Besiktas versus Hard Legion.
Yeah.
Bit of a quick one.
Yeah, it was kind of a quick one. Like, I do believe the first 3 games on day 1 kind of painted a little bit of an inconsistent picture, one might say, because you had Besiktas with Asterion getting completely smashed. We had, I think it was, I forgot who it was, but it was 16-5, I believe, for Heroic as well. I'm not sure if it was Havu or one of the CIS teams, so whatever it was. But then yesterday, if you look at the final 2 best-of-3s, it was very closely contested. Some really cool maps coming in as well. Of course, we saw like a certain map where it would be a little bit more chaotic, but close, and certain, I think it was Overpass Potter, which was, in my opinion, the map of the tournament so far. It was such a cool game to witness.
It certainly was, and I think for those teams that were able to just grind out those heavy and close matches, it's going to bode well for them coming into today, because specifically for Crazy and Heroic, these 2 teams, they had to claw and fight their way to make it here to these semifinals, and unfortunately for some teams, they just didn't have enough.
Pengi? Zaz? What?
Are you doing a chicken dance?
I have no idea.
What is this?
Havu, Havu.
Oh, okay. Listen,
I'm so sorry.
They left this
Help me.
yesterday. It's too soon. It's just too soon, all right? Me and Potter, we're feeling a bit sore. We did actually predict that Havu would be here today. Sadly not, but they did have a fantastic performance yesterday, so I can't wait to see more of them from the future. But let's take a look at the remaining teams, the playoff bracket. So as you can see, ForZe versus Heroic first, and then we've got Avantgarde versus Crazy.
And it has been kind of a crazy event so far. I expected, apart from, you know, Besiktas having a rough time, even Asterion, they kind of showed up yesterday, managing to make things a little bit closer than we expected. It has been a pretty closely contested affair, and looking at these 4 teams, these are the top 4 rated teams in the rankings. Of course, we don't have the Hard Legion. They are ranked higher up than Heroic, but by the end of this event, I'm expecting Heroic to take over them. So it's expected Avantgarde, major finalist, number 6 in the world right now. We have Heroic on this crazy upward trajectory. We have Crazy, who somehow by I don't know how they managed to claw their way into the playoffs, into the semifinals, but they managed to do it. And of course, we have ForZe, who would be looking to replicate that finals appearance from Blast Pro and probably even get the win here.
It does feel like there is one front runner here, though. We're all looking at you, Avantgarde. we're expecting you to be in the finals. However, they are going to have to go through a semi-final first, and they are going to be going up against Crazy, who I imagine had some words with themselves last night after yesterday's performance.
They did, and one thing that I am a bit worried about is Avangar had yesterday off. The good news is all those members on Avangar, they were here till late at night. They were actually in our shuttle at the same time that we were leaving. So definitely they've been putting in the work into the practice room to get prepared and get ready for today so that we can see these teams at 100%.
Well, let's move on to our opening semi-final. And to kick things off, we couldn't do it without Blair's 3 reasons.
2 reasons? I have 3 reasons? Oh, I do have 3 reasons. I have 3 reasons why. This one is going to be a slobber knocker, and I love that word, slobber knocker. It's such a beautiful thing indeed. Brought to you, of course, by JR from the WWE back in the day. All right, 2 reasons why this is going to be a slobber knocker. Number 1, Heroic are on a warpath. They are a team who have looked revitalized after Caden joining the team. They've had crazy online results. Everyone knows what they did in Pro League. So far in Open, they've been kind of hit or miss, but for them not to make the finals would be a huge disappointment. Reason number 2 is going to be the fact that ForZe are looking to maintain consistency and kind of shed that tag of people calling them one-hit wonders, right? They've managed to have a great run in the majors. They managed to make their way towards Blast Pro finals, where they lost to Avangar. But people are still like, are they really, here to stay? Are they like an Avangar? I think they want to make a name for themselves as being a credible threat in any event they attend. And number 3 is going to be the firepower, Z-Power, and Flit. And of course, they're going to be facing off against Stavan, the star of Heroic. He is the highest-rated player for his team, and not just that, he's 4th highest-rated in the tournament, but he's the only player who's played 5 maps. Everyone else above him have only played 2 maps. These are the guys from ForZe and Avangar, of course. So this one's going to be definitely a banger, and I don't know about you ladies, but I am really, really ready to have the slobber knocked off my face with this particular game.
Listen, I've always said this, I've always maintained this. I blooming love a slobber knocker. What about you, Potter?
Yeah, I like slobber knockers. I don't know what they are.
Well, I've had a few in my time, that's all I'm going to say. Right, let's look at the map veto. As usual, Blair's been doing his map maths, as has Potter. So Potter, actually, for once, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Yeah, I think ForZe are going to have to veto Vertigo. It's just not a map that they play, and yesterday we saw Heroic busting that out. So certainly ForZe is going to be vetoing that Vertigo, and Heroic is probably going to have to veto the train first. And we were discussing it in the green room, and we think that ForZe is probably going to go ahead and pick that Inferno, and Heroic is going to more than likely start off an overpass.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? Train and Vertigo, obviously, like you said, these are the 2 usual bans. I'm more interested to see, or curious rather, to see what the final decider is going to be. A Dust 2, I believe ForZe will not be that comfortable on playing against the likes of Heroic. They seem to understand the map very well. And for Heroic, Mirage is a map which is kind of like middle of the pack. Nuke, I think, would be a map that favors both the teams. It's a map where teams who've been together for a while, who have a more tactical approach to the game, would probably enjoy playing.
But ForZe did watch Heroic kind of fail a bit on Dust 2 yesterday in that first match in the series. So, I mean, they were able to study them, and Heroic were a bit underwhelming on that Dust 2. So.
And I got to remember, ForZe as well, they had just a 16-14 scrappy win over Havu on Nuke. So that's a map where, even Heroic might be like, it could flip around. It could be Heroic allowing Nuke through towards ForZe. So here we go, Overpass Inferno. So far, we've been right 100%. I'm just going to go all out and say Heroic's going to ban Mirage, ForZe is going to ban Dust 2, and we're going to be seeing this one on Nuke. I could be wrong, but hey.
And
I am so glad to see Heroic just coming back out and picking that overpass. Yesterday, it was such a grind for them to actually get that victory, 16-14 on that map. And we saw so many different looks from both sides, but specifically on Heroic's side, all the heavy executes. And on that CT side, the progressive, proactive aggression plays coming out of the Heroic side of things really helped push them forward.
Absolutely. Like looking at Heroic's Overpass on the day 1 especially, I mean, yeah, they played Overpass on day 1 and they won 16-5 if I'm not mistaken. And they were tested, don't get me wrong, but they had such a dynamic CD side. They were all over the place. Stavan was really popping off. Everyone was having great clutch moments. But one player I want to just want to see do more for Heroic would be Cadian so far. He has had a comparatively a little quieter tournament so far, and if you looked at him in Pro League and online, he was really popping off at AWP. And when you have someone like Z-Power just looking to re-pick you 5 times in a row, and he's still going to land those no-scopes and his fast-scopes and his flicks, you need Cadian to really show up. I'm not saying he's been bad, it's just that he needs to elevate his level of play to at least help that young gun, that beast, Stavan. What a beast.
I have to agree with you. Yeah, on that overpass specifically, it was S3 tagged towards the bathroom, long A area, and every now and then it seemed like Cadian and S3 tag were a little disconnected on that CT side. We had S3 Tag in a very forward position, Cadian in towards the back, and that first shot that if he misses it, it just puts S3 Tag in such a sticky situation. So they're going to have to make sure that they're working together to make sure it all comes together.
Well, we'll find out how Cadian does on the CT side with that ult very shortly. But before we can get into the games and talk about these teams a little bit more, we need to find out what the players themselves think. So let's find out how these two teams got to the semi-finals.
Sorry, finally puts him to rest, leaving Flit in a 1-on-2. Beautiful flick to the header, Story. Now coming back in again, Stork keeping on the bomb. It's going to be Flit to clutch. The Russians off to winning ways.
We're really enjoying playing here. We are so happy we win 2 games. It's just perfect. We feel confident now in team.
Player in the back line, but he takes out a nade. Oh, still, he stays alive again.
Honestly, I'm very relieved that we managed to pull through. The group stage has been okay. For us, it didn't matter too much if we were first or second, as long as we made it out of the groups. What an amazing feeling. What an amazing crowd here in Rotterdam. It's a great pleasure.
3 CTs walk in. That's an easy spray down from Extra Power.
We have a goal. We want to reach the finals. It's our main goal. That's what we want to do. Of course, we want to win the tournament, but we know that we have Avantgarde here, we have Heroic here, and we have to give them a fight.
Honestly, it's probably to make the final, so that's still a realistic goal, as we're only one game away from that. But we're aiming at the trophy. We can see it when sitting on the stage, so we're going up against ForZe, and we're the underdogs for sure. They've been looking fairly good in the group stage, but I feel like we're very comfortable being the underdog.
Roosting on the B bomb site, but he regains vision, and he doesn't have to reveal himself yet. He still has an element of surprise. 2 kills, 3 kills for Bora.
The crowd has been insane. We can hear you guys all the time. We're yelling and screaming, so thank you so much for the support. I hope we have your support again today. Let's get this game started.
Yeah, we're going to win this next game. Just be ready, we are coming.
Well, there we have it. ForZe there. Their aim is to get to the finals, to have a Moscow rematch against Avantgarde. But of course, Heroic are standing in their way. And yet, are ForZe the favourites in this matchup, Potter?
You know, I found it interesting that Cadian mentioned that they were the underdogs coming into this matchup. And, you know, I would say that that's almost a good thing coming in for Heroic, because I wouldn't say that they're the underdogs. I would say that they've been on that upward trajectory thus far, especially in this past month. And on paper, they're probably the better team faced up against this ForZe. So, but I do think it is a positive coming out of Cadian. But yes, ForZe, they've definitely been on that upward trajectory just as well. I mean, making it all the way to the grand finals in Floss Pro Series Moscow is definitely not something any of us expected. And each individual on these ForZe side of things have been able to step up. But we did hear from Jerry in his interview that they took a bit of a break. They weren't playing quite as much CS as they had been previously coming and leading up into this tournament. So I'm hoping that that's not a huge factor for them.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how they fare against Heroic, because this ForZe I'm seeing here in DreamHack Open Rotterdam is a little bit of a different beast compared to what we saw of them online or in Blast Pro, even in the Major. This is a much more controlled, much more cohesive, and much more, may I say, mature unit. The way they're approaching those maps they played, yes, it was a closer game against Habbo. It got a little out of control, but at least the game we saw of theirs against Asterion, yes, the caveat is it was Asterion, it's a mixed team, they managed to qualify to the Mendox qualifiers and all of that jazz, but the point is the way they approach it, very mature. They're looking at it from a very holistic viewpoint rather than just going for aggressive plays and whatnot, right? And that is a very positive sign for me personally, and that could be the missing factor for them being a consistent force to be reckoned with in every event they attend.
It is interesting with ForZe because I know I'm guilty of it. When I think of ForZe, I think of XP Power, I think of Jerry's control over that team, his relationship with Little, the coach. But actually, what we've seen from them, we've only seen 2 best of ones here. we've seen the other players actually really stepping up. It's no longer just about that AWP. Flip, for example, a fantastic game from him on Nuke against Havu. And they really needed his firepower because it was 16-14. It was a closely run thing, Potter.
It definitely was. And as I mentioned, each member on the side of ForZe have been stepping up. And as you mentioned, Sudan, they have looked like a very cohesive unit. And it's not something that we expect from these CIS region teams. Normally, we expect their aggression, their just kind of shenanigans and thriving within that chaos. But there was a lot of beautiful set pieces coming out of ForZe, specifically on that CT side of Inferno. Their cohesive pushes, their utility usage, everything seemed to kind of flow together and synergize really well.
Yeah, when we speak about CIS teams and aggression, what ForZe is showing here is controlled aggression, and that's a beautiful thing. Like, you know, when you push in, you take the fight, and at one point you're like, all right, we got the man advantage, let's get the hell out of there.
Now, Heroic. I'm going to be devil's advocate here. Is this honeymoon period that they've been on at ECS and EPL finally over, Blair?
I don't see any signs of them stopping anytime soon. They look good. Cadian, yeah, I agree with Potter. Cadian saying like we're underdogs here. It's a little surprising. They've been looking so damn good. Bear in mind that. And they've been playing better CS more recently compared to ForZe, who we lost in Blast Pro and a couple of online games where they've had kind of mixed results, right? But I think they are here to make a point. They're here to prove that, listen, we are just not just a honeymoon period. We have a system in place. And like Potter and me have been mentioning on the desk time and time again in the past couple of days, these roles seem to fit so very well. The way they're setting up stuff and the way Caden's playing around that off, he's not being too aggressive, just playing that role perfectly. Snappy, not just in-game leading, but also being a force to be reckoned with in the server. S-Attack bringing in his experience, and Borup having quite a good day yesterday. So this team, I'm going to say that I'm expecting a lot from Heroic down the few months at the very least.
As am I. You mentioned the honeymoon period, and I gotta say as well, I mean, they seem to be a very mature team, even though they are a new team, and it's those roles that you speak of these players just meshing so perfectly well together in those roles, and it's really Snappy. Since he's joined the team with Cadian, they've been able to really synergize together well, and the cohesive aggression on their CT side, it seems to be just pushing them over the edge.
Well, let's move away from the edge. And let's move towards two players, one from each team. Potter, you've got a head-to-head for us?
Yes, I've got the head-to-head. We've been speaking about Stavin all weekend long, and as you mentioned, Sudan, he is number 4 on those leaderboards, and as he should be. This 17-year-old has been just thriving within this team, and he's been able to do it all. He's been able to entry frag for his team, and he's been able to lurk. And this new style of lurking in 2019, where it's not just waiting for your team to die and flanking slowly, it's the style of lurking of just timing the enemies, making sure that he's able to pick off the enemies in their rotations, cut off the middle of the map. Stavin seems to be everywhere at the right time, and he gets the frags to back him up.
And of course, we have Flit being picked by Potter as well, and he has been quite a revelation. The caveat being for ForZe, they only played 2 maps. So if you just look at the stats, quick stats here, Z powered 1.44, Flit with a 1.41 HLV rating, but they've only played 2 maps. But Flit popping off in the new game, it presents a very good sign for this team because it's always been Z power while everyone else has been kind of quiet in the background. If he steps up here, I do agree with you. I think it's going to be a banger of a series, especially with these 2 players facing off against each other.
Well, ForZe have already got into their huddle. Stavin, he's a little bit late to the party. Come on, Stavin. There we go. Oh, you can hear the cheers already. There are a few Heroic fans out there in Rotterdam.
Quite a few.
Oh, they've had their monster energy this morning. What about our CIS team? Our Russians, boys!
Oh. Come on.
Come on. Give them a little bit of love. We wouldn't have a semi-final without them. Let's face it, Rotterdam.
There are a lot of Danish fans yesterday. We saw them so very loud. We had a few technical issues yesterday, so there was no casting in the arena. But the crowd were there. They were just ready and chanting and cheering on Heroic. So Heroic, despite the fact they're not playing in Denmark, in their hometown, they are having a lot of support, the 6th man, so to speak.
Well, listen, you know what? I'm going to ask Rotterdam their predictions. But first of all, I've got to ask these two. Potter, who are you saying it's going to be today?
I do think this is going to be an extremely close affair, but I got to say Heroic's path to get here was so challenging for them, and I'm so glad to see that they were able to overcome that. I think that's going to be able to bode well for them coming in. I'm going with Heroic.
All right, then. I want to say Heroic because they've been looking so good, right? But I'm going to stand by ForZe. I think it's been time and time again, everyone's like, yeah, they've reached the finals, they've reached the semifinals, now they're going to fall flat, and they keep defying the odds time and time again. This time around, I believe Jerry and the boys have what it takes to do it there till, I think, 11:30 at night. I saw Jerry on the bus. They left with us. They've been putting in the hours, and I'm going to put my faith in that.
Well, you know what? I'm going to just find out from the audience. I'm going to use them to help me predict. So is it going to be ForZe Rotterdam?
No, doesn't look like it.
Or is it going to be Heroic? All right then, Rotterdam. You and me, baby. We are predicting Heroic. But let's find out what my favorite people are thinking. Twitch chat, come on. Play God with me. Who's going to win?
Obviously, ForZe.
Oh, okay. All right. Pick
This might be the
closest, why don't
closest prediction thus far.
Yeah,
It
is damn pretty close, yeah.
That is like the division in my brain right now because I feel very close to both of these teams. I like them both. How can you not love Jerry or Cadian? But right now, that's enough from us because we need to give our love to our casters this morning. It is Dustin Vincent. Hello.
Howdy.
I just called you Vincent rather than Vince. I hope you don't mind.
It is my actual name, to be fair, but no one calls me it.
Oh, well, I do now. Me and your mum.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Right, we're going to hand things over to you because we could be going to 4-3 maps here.
Indeed, we could be. Definitely a possibility here, especially because I feel like Overpass is a map that ForZe has been a bit weaker on, but Inferno could be a bit of a brawl, and so we could see that third map nuke for sure. So yeah, we're ready to go here in the semifinals between ForZe and Heroic. Definitely excited to get started, Vince.
Oh, absolutely, man. I think both best of threes today could be pretty solid for us in the semifinals. Then obviously the finals could very well be a repeat performance of Blast Moscow if things line up. We'll have to see if that grudge match comes into fruition.
Indeed, we do. Now, unfortunately to you folks out in the crowd, we have to make an announcement that we still are having some issues up here, so we don't want to, affect the competitive integrity of the match. So once the game goes live, you will not hear the commentators today. However, you will hear all the in-game sounds, all that good stuff, so you're still going to get pretty much the full experience. And then for those of you out on the stream, you still get to hear us, which could be a good or bad thing, depending on your philosophy, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of up to you.
I will say, though, crowd, that even though you won't be able to hear us, the stream will be able to hear you. So make sure you do keep the noise and the volume up for both teams, although let's be real, it's probably Heroic that's getting...
Doesn't there's a lot of Heroic fans out there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite as far to travel from Russia as it is from Denmark here in Holland. True. It's not too far away for the Danes.
Right, absolutely. And so, yeah, we're going to our opening map on Overpass. This is a map that ForZe have been a bit dodgy on in online play. Even their LAN play hasn't been that great. Meanwhile, we've seen Heroic really be able to use Overpass effectively in all their matches thus far since this lineup has come together. So definitely looking to have the slight edge coming into this. Obviously, for Heroic, they're trying to continue that, kind of upward trend that they've been having with, what they've been able to do in EPL, how they've been able to qualify for Star Ladder, all these different online competitions they've looked so sharp on since Cadian joined. And then for ForZe, it's about trying to, do the same exact thing. I mean, they were looking so good in all of their online play throughout the year. Narrowly missed out on Cologne. They did qualify for Chicago, but couldn't attend, beating some really good teams along the way. And then obviously, they didn't have the greatest of majors, but they had that finals appearance in Moscow on home soil. And so this is definitely a team that has caught people's eyes. They're very aggressive, very chaotic. They're very fun to watch. And at times, they can really pull off some great games. So hopefully, we're in for that slobber knocker that Blair was talking about.
Good old JR. Very few people are going to get that reference, but he did make it, to be fair. Classic commentator. That being said, in our semi-finals, the Russians versus the Danes. And I really do feel like this is going a full 3 maps, Dust. I can't help but feel that we are going to be moving across to Nuke in a couple of hours' time. But Overpass is our first stop in this best of 3. First semi-finals about to get started, about to go live. CT side will be the Russians of ForZe. And Heroic occupying the T side, pushing in with a smoke and 2 flashes to their name in the hands of Snappy.
Yeah, the big battle to look out for is Flit and Z-Power are both in the top 3 right now for rating in this tournament. And they're going up against Stown, who is just below them. And Borup's also had a fantastic tournament thus far. So I feel like those are going to be the 4 players, 2 to each side, that are going to be the ones to keep eyes on. But Heroic looking like they want to kick things off here in a pistol with a nice little pop-out monster. But Almazer, he has spotted it through the short pipe.
That's going to be a call straight through. Flit instantly connects the headshot. And now Jerry's going to have to try and fend off against multiple adversaries. He's going to fall in the first hurdle. Still, though, the CTs have the player advantage. Borup being tagged down, but so is Facecrack. Almazer still alive, still kicking from short. And now Stavin and Snappy going to connect the dots with their Glocks. Facecrack on 5 HP, though. They need Flit to do a lot of the heavy lifting. And now it all falls down to Flit. It looked like a beautiful start to the round. Start the best of 3. Flit just going to trade USPs for more ammunition. Still needs to reload, however. He's made a lot of noise in the process, so there's no reason for Rock to even peek him. And is he deciding to go up to Heaven, or potentially just pull back and keep a hold of his Kevlar? It seems the former rather than the latter. See if he can connect himself a headshot. There's the first one. And there's the kit too, but Snappy returns the favor. And the Danes start off with a win.
Yeah, just kind of brute forcing their way into that B bomb site. There was that early bit of information from Almazer's push into short, and Flit did have a nice little opening kill on the first dome that came into his crosshair, but Heroic eventually able to really grind their way into that, particularly Stout a couple of big kills. Again, he's the one that's really been the star of Heroic, seeming like one of their leading MVP candidates if they were to go all the way to the trophy. And again, Heroic not wasting any time as they gather up outside B again. They are a team that either plays default or they really do favor these various different kind of B splits and set pieces, but I think the utility there kind of made them reconsider, and so you'll see them kind of back off and start just kind of getting more into a default. They've left Burr up at B as his normal position. They have Stown kind of playing connector as he normally will, and then the rest are just kind of trying to get that initial control over towards Playground.
As you say, really feeling this one out. They don't have much real estate outside, though, of connector. So you're going to have to be very careful, utilize some of these flashbangs to move in, such as connector. Molotov's going to fade, Cadian now presses behind it. Essetag and meanwhile going to be coming up through the balloons. No one has checked long, though, and this is where players like FaceCrack could start to have a big impact in the round.
Indeed they could. Depends if they decide to push or if Heroic actually kind of does go that direction. But if they actually just come up middle, they will bypass a lot of that. Or if they decide to reroute the connector to B and go for that push, then again, it will just kind of be on Almazer and Jerry to deal with this. Because we see Z-Power and FaceCrack kind of pushed up so far along, they're going to be a little bit longer to rotate as well to have the assistance. And now we have to push off the sandbags. Close exchange, Snappy the one winning the duel.
As you'd anticipate with this kind of a buy or lack thereof from ForZe's perspective, 30 seconds to play with. Another kill goes the way of the Danes. Flit hiding, residing at the backside of the site, was hoping for the best, but it's just not going to pay off for him.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Just again, the superior firepower coming through here for Heroic. They were trying to be proactive with their forward positioning at long and pushing into short, trying to get that information, trying to disrupt the setup of Heroic, but unfortunately for them, it's a flawless victory for the Danes as they do jump up 2-0. Got Frankie out there hanging out with the crowd. Oh, Potter's out there too. Okay, so we got our analyst out there hanging out with you.
Keeping them entertained while the rounds switch over. They
can't hear us. They can't hear us. But you folks out in Twitch chat, you got our backs, I'm sure. Definitely always very supportive in Twitch chat, I'm sure. No memes, no spams. There's
definitely no cappers in chat.
No, definitely no fish heads, no, you know, back in the game, nothing like that.
HE and Flashbang, but ForZe are just being destroyed by the MAC-10s. The SMG's really claiming all the kills. That's a bunch of money in the back pocket now for Heroic collectively. 3-0 start, but they're going to be good for a couple of rounds to come.
Indeed they are. This is where hopefully Z-Power is going to be able to get that AWP out. Again, he is kind of one of the stars of this team. He's number 2 rated player in the tournament. Been doing great work. And he is indeed going to be having his big Zoom banger, Vince, as it is called. I am well informed of.
It is certainly the destroyer of worlds if you're on the receiving end of it. Has supplemented a lot of his utility, though, as a result of this. And Snappy's just going to go up aggressively, takes a grenade for his troubles, though. Not quite the gap in the smoke he was hoping for.
No, not at all. We're still seeing ForZe kind of hold forward here on the bathrooms. Nothing too aggressive. And Flit does spot that cross by Snappy. He was focused on that connector. So Flit gets a freebie and is able to just back off into the A bomb site while Almazer does still kind of hold a bit of a forward position. He has a smoke for cover as well in the doorway in front of him. So very default opening here from Heroic. So it's all going to come down to Stown if he can come up connector and assist this A press. And we see Cadian and Essetag going for here, but again, utility is kind of holding them up.
Spray on point just about. Running through the last few bullets of his ammunition in the magazine. Gonna keep him alive just about on 13.
And that's the power of Heroic, man. They have Stound and Burrup kind of playing the solo roles in connector and B, and they're really good playmakers. They're not just sitting there holding out, you know, baiting, you know, lurking, whatever you want to call it. Like, they're the ones that can really find those openings. And that's great because obviously they suffered an opening pick, and then those two just kind of pitch in and get them the advantage right back into a 4 versus 3. Still plenty of time left. Again, they do favor these B executes in the mid to late round, so no surprise to see that bomb is already drifting in that direction. It's all going to be on Jerry with this AWP to see if he can put a stop to this.
Time though, Dust, 20 seconds. And it's going to rapidly decrease. They have to get in, and it's going to be Borup actually claiming the first kill in this encounter. Jerry's AWP will do nothing. And with his death, the site will follow. ForZe have no interest in even trying to go for this. They're pulling the plug, they're saving.
Can't really blame him, the money's not really there. These two M4s will be vital to them posing a threat into the next round. Well, I was holding on to some head armor and an incendiary, so a good amount there. We'll see if anyone from Heroic wants to give chase. They are pretty far away. Do have Stown kind of push forward towards T-spawn, but doesn't seem to be looking to move forward. So it seems like these two guns will be indeed crossed over into round number 5. Heroic up to the 4-0 lead. And a lot of these rounds have been pretty dominant, Vince. It's understandable, you know, when you're doing the pistol and the anti-eco that it can sometimes go that way. But even, you know, this gun round here was really well handled by Heroic. Even with the suffering of an opening pick, I mean, they're the ones that fell early there, and here they come.
Cadian working the crowd as he was yesterday. Saw a couple of his tweets saying that all the support meant the world to Heroic. A team, of course, that are relatively new together with this full roster.
It's also nice to see Cadian back in kind of a home again. I mean, he's kind of bounced around teams. He's been a stand-in for Heroic at times. But now he finally finds his permanent place here, and unfortunately his place in this round will be in the dirt, as Z-Power has formed the Jackson Pollock painting there on the wall. The blood splatter means it is a 5-on-4 for ForZe early, despite the fact they don't have that much to work with. Getting the most out of what firepower they do have. Very important stuff to do early in the round.
Second smoke deployed, and it will be their last smoke with this much time remaining. Just under a minute and a half. They don't check the back angle. Borup with the SG. Surgical precision, not missing a mark. And although an M4 is still in play for ForZe, losing those two players is such a hefty blow. However, Z-Power trying to get round the corner of Playground has been found and put down.
Indeed, Stown will reclaim this territory for the T's as they start pressing over towards the A bomb site. ForZe holding their two remaining players towards B. Borup will be holding off any rotations that may come through short and into connector. Actually setting up a heaven's hook to keep these ForZe players guessing that it could indeed be a B hit. Although I think his smoke actually did miss, but still it doesn't matter. He's still creating that presence. Heroic taking their time. They can't know for sure if any CTs are holding close angles.
Borup is the intel gatherer. He is the expendable player on their team. Now that he's dead and the call will come through, they can just execute onto the A site. They're about to find out it's completely barren, completely empty of counter-terrorists. Free plant coming in, and the round should follow. You can already see that FaceCrack has no interest. He's moving back towards the T spawn.
Surprise Flitz coming over this direction with the stick. That's a very powerful weapon to carry over to the next round if you're a CT team. But he does pretty quickly backpedal out of there. FaceCrack has also found a sig over towards Playground, so these are some big, meaty weapons to be bringing over.
Absolutely. Massively powerful on the CT side. We can just hold angles at range.
Yep. Basically gets you to bypass that whole AUG nerf that happened. You basically get to use kind of the same thing, but even better. So, indeed, as you noted, it's going to be nice for holding those spots.
That being said, though, it is minor victories in what's been a bit of a landslide of a start in favor of Heroic.
Yeah. Their money is so good now, too, Vince. I feel like there's not been a round yet where they've lost more than 2 members. There's been several rounds where they survived with 4. So they are all in the 5 digits in their bank accounts after the purchase. Again, we're seeing some good starts at times from ForZe in these rounds. I mean, they said Z-Power had an opening pick that round. They've had an opening pick in the past, but just not able to capitalize on it just yet. But hopefully now that they're starting to get their money back in order, here soon they'll be able to really pose some real resistance.
The choice of Heroic, of course, going pretty comfortably in their favor, but here is the first tactical time out. They're deciding, let's not let this one slip too far. Let's get a grasp of this sooner rather than later.
Yeah, again, Overpass has been a map that this Heroic team has enjoyed. Helped them qualify for the EPL finals with that Overpass win over Sprout. Also helped them qualify for Star Ladder with some Overpass wins over Prosto and Tricked. So definitely feeling at home here thus far. ForZe has yet to really show us much, but here they're back to the full buy. Maybe they can finally piece something together. They do have this aggression in connector.
Oh, Stavin, he's not messing about, going straight in.
The ruthless aggression going to yield the 1 kill. There is a kill back in the form of Flit, and the SG being used against the terrorists. Culling the Meek, trying to shepherd his team into their first round. And Snappy, the only player to stand against them with a measly 19 health. He is being flanked and to pick up the AWP.
That was a really good play from ForZe. Had a really stout B defense setup. I think they're just reading into the tendencies of Heroic to go that side. Were pushed into connector and had many players positioned in the site, and they win out those exchanges. Now Z-Power will put the finishing touches, you'd have to imagine. He does catch that kill onto Snappy. So finally, the Russians are on the board, Vince. Took a bit, but they've greeted us with their presence.
The magic of the timeout. It works so often. When it doesn't, it's a bit awkward, though. But yeah, we did highlight the importance of the SGs. It wasn't quite at the range we were anticipating. It was up close, and the spray down was on point, and the easiest of kills for Z-Power just at the end. I appreciate the effort, though, from Heroic. That is going to make ForZe use a lot of utility starting off these rounds because they have to respect the potential of another fast play. That nade did so much damage. Z-Power and Jerry get wrecked by it.
Yeah, that was more of a Hellfire missile than a grenade, it felt like. And now, oh, Estetag, I thought he had the jump on Almazer, but no, not going to be the case. Another opening pick goes ForZe's way here on this A side of the map.
And another one. They just can't get a foothold into round 7. And we were talking about their economy being booming. It is starting to deplete a little bit on a couple players. Overall, though, they will be good to buy in the next round regardless of what happens here.
We're starting to see ForZe finally capitalize on those opening picks, Vince, and kind of maintain man advantage into the mid-round and start kind of fading back. And they've already, forced utility out of Heroic just to control this area. Now they're a little bit limited on the execute itself. They still do have the smokes for stairs and for bank, and they have a couple of flashes to work their way in, but ForZe already has 3 players entrenched towards this side of the map, and there's no need for them to budge. Not with the setup that Jerry and FaceCrack have on the opposite side, so they have to try to tear through these 3 players. It's all going to come down to whether or not Stalin can find this pick, or whether the SIGs can come through.
Again, time is of the essence. 25 seconds to push the site, get entries. As you say, with 3 players stacked here, it's looking very unlikely. And Snappy going to take the first contact. Has been successful. Solid flashbang going forward the crossover. But Flit still using the SG, still carving out some kills. And Z-Power on the cross will finalize onto Borup. Stavin's going to try and bait them out into the open. And actually gets wallbanged by Z-Power from bank.
There you go. Z-Power showing you why he's one of the best players in this tournament thus far, why he's been one of the main talking points of this ForZe squad throughout this year. Having some impact moments right there. As we watch through the film, that's a big catch right there. I feel like that really slowed down the whole bomb planning process. And then, yeah, that's just brilliant there on the down. And so, into round number 8, still fully bought is both sides. Both economies are fragile, but Heroic the ones that are in the more vulnerable position. A loss here would likely mean a save and a chance for ForZe to really close the gap on the scoreboard, but that's a great way to open if you're Heroic. The utility damage has been so good on this B side of the map from them.
It's the same nade again.
Oh, absolutely,
they did the exact same thing last round.
Indeed. If it's not broke, don't fix it, Vince. It's one of the things we've kind of seen develop on Overpass over this year is like some of these different nade stacks you're seeing on this B site. But Almazer, he does have a bit of a tricky position. I'm kind of curious. It's all going to come down to timing, though. And indeed, he does find out down in the connector. That is a great way to get yourself back in the round. And now he controls this connector. It's going to cause a real thorn in the side of Heroic. They're going to have to be a lot more cautious how they transition from site to site.
Flashbang not going to be followed up. But Almazer's position is a solid one. He will start to worry about being encircled, though. There's no one watching mid. So they could push down connector behind him, and that's why he just has this little doubt in the back of his mind as to which angle to cover. Positioning here does mean that the terrorists would have to walk all the way down. May have heard the door closing. Molotov's also been dropped out. In the meanwhile, Almaze doing so much work, but eventually will fall.
That's great for Heroic to be able to reclaim that territory, get the man advantage back. But now Estetag's in danger. He opens the door straight to FaceCrack, but it is traded at the very least. And B's now open for the taking. It's going to come to Z-Power. Can he clutch? That smoke will block his first angle he was hoping to use. Actually, okay, there it is.
Yeah, the first smoke was on the site, the second one for Heaven. Z-Power drops out, doesn't get picked up on the cross from Cadian, who misses his shot. Out he comes, he's baiting himself though. The ultimate team player throws himself, puts himself on the end of the fishing line, and it works out for them.
You got a little bit scary for just the moment when Z-Power jumps through the smoke, gets that first kill, but obviously when they push together and you're using AWP, you can't really spray transfer an offense. So there you have it, Heroic. Some bumps on the road in that round, but eventually handle that whole connector pressure and turn it into a victory. 6-2 now the score. They avoid that situation where they might have been saving this round with that victory. Economy is still obviously fragile for both sides, though, so this round could be really huge in swinging the momentum of it. Again, we have Almauser playing this aggression into connector. This duel between him and Stown has been really dictating the pace of these early round situations, it seems.
Yeah, unfortunately for Almauser, even though he did have a lot of presence in connector, no one else really helped him out. No one else got any kills, so yeah, it fell on deaf ears. Almauser.
Not this time.
Not going to work out. Lots of damage, though. Stavin down to 12. Going to get repeat. Out comes Z-Power. And the call must have came through. Look, I've dinked him. Just one bullet and he's gone.
You have to imagine that's the case. I mean, the confidence to peak with the USP against the rifle, you have to have that information. Flit, though, is in a tricky spot. Will they check him or not? He's got the UMP. It's close range. He's got a chance to really do some damage. There's two. Does get traded back by Snappy, though.
Z-Power again, right place at the right time. Bomb goes down with Snappy. And Burrup has the arduous task of going to retrieve the bomb and trying to clutch with 40 seconds to play with. And it looks like he will get plucked off on the cross from Z-Power. And there we have it, the AWP in perfect position. You've got to say, Z-Power's had a really good read of the game thus far here on Overpass.
Indeed, he does, up to 11 kills already in the 9's round played, so really getting those numbers. Helping out Jerry, who's busy doing his best Daniel Craig impression on the bottom of the scoreboard. Not the agent that you want to be, but that's okay because it's still early on. He still has a chance to recover, and he's had some of his teammates like Flit and Z-Power, who are, again, kind of ranked in the top 3 for rating in this tournament, showing you why. Like, they've been very impactful, particularly Flit. They're just not getting checked in that corner of bathrooms. And now here's where Heroic suffer and have to use just pistols.
It's not even just the 007. He's got 1 ADR. We're in round 10.
That can't be real. Is that real?
It's real, dude. It's real.
1 ADR, no way.
And that hurts. That hurts my soul.
Can we see that again? Can we flick the Jerry?
1 ADR, dude. 1.
You really just...
You really do hate to see it, you really do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Someone says funniest Newcastle Football Club season, isn't it?
Bruh. That's too far.
I mean, you are dressed nice for their funeral today, so I figured I'd throw them a shout out. Anyway, let's get into this.
Can't work under these conditions, neither can Almauser. Desert Eagle to the face, gonna put him down in one of the worst buys that Heroic have had, mustering together a force buy of pistols. They've already claimed 2, and plenty of time to play with their food on the A site, throwing down smokes and flashes. They are going to be following this up. There's nothing fake about this. Z-Power's going to get forced out. All the CTs are here to deal with him. He's already landed 1 wall bang beforehand. Face crack wildly spraying up through the smoke. And stabbing with his Desert Eagle with 2 in quick succession. And Z-Power may as well just get out of there. The chances of 1v4 clutching with these crossfires established are so low, and they're all just going to funnel in like lemmings. But it's Z-Power that's going to be slaughtered.
And that's one of those big rounds where if you're ForZe and you're playing from behind, you're trying to grind your way back into the game on a map that has been kind of tough for you in the LAN environment. Even their online resolve has been mixed. You got to really take advantage of rounds like this, but they just couldn't. Stown again, showing you why he's not too far behind Flit and Z-Power when it comes to the player rankings of this tournament. He has been so good every single game. Again, I think he's one of the leading MVP candidates in these playoffs. That young 17-year-old Dane made noise for Fragsters last year, showed you he had a lot of potential. Now he's realizing it here on Heroic these last few months. And now it is going to be ForZe just using that AWP and M4 and just a few pistols. They're in for a lot of trouble.
Already at this level at such a young age, the future is so very bright.
It just seems like there's an endless pool of talent in Denmark.
Connector, also bright off the flames.
Curse them, of course.
Glistening in the eyes of Z-Power. He's gone in for 2. He was the last beacon of hope, and he's going to fall down. Was pretty much forced into that peak. You understand why he's gone. The audacious no-scope. But has he done enough damage for the rest of ForZe to come in and clean this up?
It's very possible. There's 3 Deagles sitting out there, and Jerry still has that M4. He is one of the B players, though, on short. But once they start putting presence A, unless we see Burrup keep eyes on Connector. He could be a flanker that could come very quickly. It'll all come down to timing on that, while we do see Heroic just kind of slowly checking their corners here as they come up long A. Flit may eventually spot them. I think he is jumping by the APC to try to spot this position. And oh, there he is. Cadian spots him. Oh, tries to hit the shot. That's a tough one, but the information's there now. This is where this flank from Jerry is going to be pivotal.
Tough as he actually jumped slightly earlier than before, so it was a millimeter off. Position now known, 15 seconds. You've got to get a move on here, Heroic. There's a beautifully placed Molotov down in long. 10 seconds. They've got to get across to the site. Someone's going to need to cover on the Optimus side. Molotov has been deployed. They're going to go for the plant behind the box. That is a suicidal attempt. And ForZe going to take the round off indecision. It was such a strange round at the end. With the CTs hang on for dear life.
Yeah, I feel like they're getting a little bit too cautious in these late rounds. I mean, we've talked about the clock, I feel like, a few times, and it hasn't really punished them yet, but it does that round. They needed a smoke or something. Like, the problem is they had all their focus coming up long A, and they didn't really clear out bathrooms properly, so they were kind of too scared to plant for mid. But then they couldn't really plant for bank either because that wasn't cleared. I mean, they didn't get past the bot. There's literally a guy sitting on the opposite side of default plant zone. So, again, you either needed to go faster so that you have more time to clear that all out, or you needed to, like, use a smoke to plant inside of. They didn't do that. They used their smokes towards stairs and bank. So there was a whole lot of kind of chaos there. I do feel like there's maybe some miscomms or just not being on the same page. Whatever the case may be, timing finally cost them a round.
A calamity of errors, I would say. I mean, Z-Power got his kills very early on in the round in Connector.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of waiting around and toing and froing and feeling out. But Heroic do concede. ForZe into a bye. It's not a great one, though. You can still see the signs of the attrition they've been through economically.
Yeah, certainly. Both teams are kind of in safe position if they lose this round, so it could be Heroic jumping up to a bigger lead, or ForZe finally closing that gap and getting this closer to a tied position. We do see a little bit of a change from Heroic here. They're using Cadian's AWP towards short B very quickly this time. Not the slow default approach we've seen in the past. Definitely trying to change things up just a slight amount.
Bullets rattling in the distance. Eerie silence on the battlefield for the time being. Question is, who is the first player to find the pick? Cadian is that man. He breaks the deadlock.
I think he did spot the shoulder of Face Crack as well, so he knows that there's another target in that direction. Jerry is trying to reinforce as best as he can, crossing over towards the pillar, but Cadian is content to hold this angle. He knows he has the edge and still a good amount of time left to work with. That as each second passes, Cadian might get more and more eager, especially now that Attack's gone down the opposite side. They have to focus everything now on this B attack. Here comes the utility.
Still just Cadian that's at the point of the spear. He needs other players to push in. They're not going to be letting this come down to time. 30 seconds more than enough. Face Crack UMP, though, is shredding, ripping through faces alongside Jerry. Had a slow start, but now he's stepping up. Gonna get flashed out. Cadian meets his opposite number of C-Power, and another round falls the way of the CTs.
Yeah, I think it just kind of comes down to the fact that when that kill breaks out into S-Attack and bathrooms, you can kind of see that the gears are turning in ForZe's head. They kind of realize what's happening. They know that, hey, the op's taking picks at short B. That's not normal. It's probably going to be something at B. You see Jerry and Face Crack kind of pair up together at pillar and up close on Monster. The Shadow betrays the first player out. So really good defense there from ForZe. They're starting to really find their footing in this half now, starting to make this a close contest, and now they have what should be a freebie. Heroic have really nothing to work with here except for 2 P250s and 2 flashbangs. This is one of those rounds that you just should be mopping up with ease.
Yeah, get out the dustpan and brush.
I take offense to that.
Ah, didn't even mean that, to be fair.
Surely.
So these 2 flashbangs, as you said, the golden ticket, but Jerry is going to try and snap that in half. Still 1 flash remains for Cadian. They are starting to make a move up short. Meanwhile, though, there is definitely going to be connector presence if and when Flit decides to try and rotate round the back. The timing not going to favor Burrup. And it seems like this has gone from slim to none in terms of chance now for the Danes.
Yeah, this is like a real Blue Whale versus Krill story. Not even David and Goliath. There's just no possible way really for Heroic, already losing 2 members. Little firepower. Cadian's already down to 13 HP. Just the cleanup crew is ForZe, pushing this to 6-7 any moment now.
So the clean sweep, minimal damage inflicted. Maximum guns will be retained. We're getting towards the dying embers of this half now.
Kind of want to see what the adjustment for Heroic's going to be. I mean, I've watched their games in the past. Granted, there's been very few of them with this new lineup. They really favor the faster-paced plays a lot of the time, but I feel like a lot of these rounds, they've been a bit more cautious. They've been a bit more kind of bleeding the clock into the last, 20 or so seconds. And so I want to see that pace pick up, Vince. I want to see that explosiveness that Sound and company can bring to this team.
Well, they're picking up. They're going straight in across short. There are so many grenades being extinguished by Molotovs. Borup with 2 with his AK-47. It's only Jerry that's really mounted any kind of defense. But he's bought up enough time now for C-Power to get in position from heaven. Another smoke onto the side. Here's Jerry. He's landing more with the SG. He's not done just yet. The flashbang neutralizing the vision of Cadian. And now Snappy, 36 HP, has time to burn. Molotov put down on short. He's going to retrieve the bomb. There's actually a way for him to escape here, as Almazer wasn't quite in the right position. He's going to go straight up to A and get the bomb planted.
That was so weird. Did you not see him just staring at that guy for like 2 full seconds before they shot each other? That was wild, and this wildness is going to keep on going because he's been able to bring this bomb to the A site. He's gotten some time to get in a new position. Can he actually pull it all the way out? This would be incredible. We can't talk about how this round was their chance, but it's limited now.
To make matters worse, they're both coming through the same side. They've got a smoke that can maybe get Snappy out into the open. The bomb's not planted ideally for him. He's took the first kill. Gonna gobble it down, and now C-Power gonna try and defuse in amongst the smoke. It's not even for him. He's going for the full defuse. Oh my God, he got it! Snappy is ruining that missed opportunity right now.
That's the only reaction you really can have if you're Snappy, is a bit of a facepalm. He did so well throughout that round to kind of dig back in. The entries were going great. Borup flies through, finds 2 entries. You think, okay, this is a done deal. But then the comeback from Jerry and company defending. Really nicely done to get back into the round. But Snappy, he was that last lifeline. He did get that bomb over to A. And he did get that first kill, but just could not get the spray to connect fast enough on the diffuser. And so now the gap closes. He just has to do a mental reset now. There's nothing you can really say about that.
I almost feel like that smoke onto Dumpster threw him off. He's surely not going for the full defuse when I've just killed his teammate. He knows I'm long. That extra second of indecision cost so dearly. 7-7, or whichever way you spin this does. 7 rounds on the T side of Overpass is a solid outcome.
Well, it's one of those things where how he planted, it wasn't obviously planted for where he went, but he was trying to use it as kind of a mind game because he had low HP, so he knew he had to get the jump on somebody, and that's the way you do it. You kind of plant in a spot that makes him not really think about long. That got him his first kill, so it's all going well, but in the end, that's where it can come back to burn you, when you have to kind of just sprint towards the bomb and someone's got a kit and they stick it. Obviously, you can't think they will stick it, as you said, but that's just the mind games that go on in clutches like that.
Ouch.
That is indeed a great grenade.
Well, as they say, pros don't fake. And C-Power going to be performing consistently throughout this half. He has been incredible. 15 kills, pardon me, with 114 ADR.
Again, he is that kind of star of this team, that offer that people thought maybe you might see on a bigger team someday. Definitely been keeping his team in the hunt in this first half, even when times got tough. He might even be able to get the lead back for them.
Only 2 smokes remaining with a minute left, though. 1 flashbang and 1 Molotov. Heroic have really depleted so much already.
But you know what they're going for. They're definitely going for it. They have no presence towards long B anymore. They don't even really have presence short. But this up-close bathroom setup is going to be really a big problem.
C-Power misses his shot. That leaves Almazer all alone. C-Power's gonna flash out aggressive. The Cadian just clicks him anyway. Flick gonna try and take the call next up. He goes down, it's 1 by 1. ForZe walking into their demises.
Yeah, that bait and switch up in the bathrooms did not work at all. No kills have rung out from that, or really throughout the rest of this round. Now it's all on Jerry and FaZe to try to pull this one back somehow in a 2v5.
Time is low. Can Jerry just land that perfect spray? Not quite. Borup down to 13, but still alive. Face crack. Next player up, slight gap in the smoke. He's got the first player, but there's Snappy to return fire. Heroic will lead at halftime after a mini comeback. We'll find out what happens in the second half after this short break. coined it as a slobber knocker, and so far it has lived up to that. A real back and forth skirmish between the two teams. It could have gone much more one-sided to Heroic, but ForZe, they battled back to the end.
Indeed, they did. Now we're going to see if they can keep it up here on their very aggressive nature to T side. We'll talk about that a bit later, but right now I need to focus on this big pistol push. And Burrup said, I'm out of here. I don't want any of this. Can't blame him.
Look for the intel. He was playing alone, and now it allows them to retreat a couple players from B to come back up to A. Burrup is just having a quick look, jumping up and down. Now we're going to hit the flashbangs over. Smoke to his left-hand side. Those rotations didn't come in fast enough. Face crack going all the way down to the staircase behind the dumpster. That overextension could cost them so dearly. They're now lacking a player on the retake. Burrup running out of bullets, going to be chased down by Flint, but he's going to be repelled. Burrup somehow, someway survives. And Heroic, they will get the second pistol. That was such a weird mess.
It was indeed one of those things, but I think that the word that is synonymous with ForZe is chaos, and you're going to see that, I feel like, a lot through this half, and I think Heroic know what they're up against. They know that they have to be very careful, they have to get information early, they can't leave themselves stranded, where they can just get swarmed on and traded. They have to use their numbers and just be smart about things, and they definitely were in that round. Burrup just kind of being that early alert system, getting away, buying time, getting the rotation where it needed to be. And that's going to go ahead and tip them up just a bit more. 9-7 is our score as we head into this next round. We are going to see AK out of face crack. This is an interesting kind of... Usually you don't see a buy on second round without a bomb plant. This is odd.
Almost a raid boss kind of mentality. This does leave Jerry in a bit of an awkward spot economically, but can they put the AK to use? Face crack has been tasked with that difficult dilemma, and he's not going to really do anything with it. The MP9 ripping through the armorless players, and it's a clean sweep. They went for the risk. Doesn't pay off. They're still going to have money, though.
Yeah, except for the guy who bought the AK. Everyone else is kind of in a decent position, but I'm not sure if, because of that, if they'll kind of change up their buying schedule. It looks like we are going to see the AWP come out for Z-Power, Sig out for Flit. Rifles out. It's just really face crack with that Deagle. The repercussions of that AK in the previous round not doing anything. And again, just expect to see ForZe be really, really fast-paced. They really love fast towards A. They're not as heavy towards B, and they're not going to nearly bleed the clock as much as Heroic did. So that explosive playstyle is going to be on display, though they are been slowed down this round due to some utility damage. But now they start taking towards the fountain.
Yeah, Molotov put them on the back foot. They didn't want to use one of their two smokes to extinguish it either. That's valuable utility they need for the latter stages of the round.
Yeah, had a B stack early from Heroic because they were just trying to pressure short B, get early information. Again, they're kind of trusting Cadian this time around to be the solo A player. They just want to really pressure out. They had two players though that were kind of just spamming wood, and now are starting to backtrack towards the A side. It's going to be Esatag and Snappy who are going to be the guys that are kind of more the rotators on this team. While Burrup and Stound, they have such a stout B defense, Vince. I mean, that's the big thing you have to worry about in this Heroic team. Those two players are so skilled and they defend B so well.
A real nightmare to be playing off against. ForZe taking their sweet time to get up on the short side of A on the banana. Face crack going to be stuck with the Deagle as his teammates fall around him. Esatag is holding the line. Cadian's going to help him out. They're going to line up for his M4, and Cadian knocks them down. Heroic continue to apply the pressure.
Yeah, their lead is starting to build now. They've won the first true rifle round of the half. Money's low for ForZe. A chance for Heroic to find possibly a free 12th before we can really see the reinforcements come in for ForZe. Just some CZs and a couple of Deags, the 150-50s, triple nades for some type of nade stack, perhaps.
Same Molotovs again.
I thought that's going to be a constant from Heroic. I think that's just a decision that they know how fast ForZe like to be at A. They want to slow that down each and every round as long as they can afford it.
It's completely worthwhile.
No, absolutely. Again, this is that 1-4 opening towards A that ForZe favor. More often than not, they don't like the 3-1-1 a lot like most teams do. But Jerry actually does find a pick on the Burrup at sandbags. That does make the round a little bit more interesting.
He can't retrieve the gun, though, which is a bit of an issue. As he expected correctly, there'd be more players watching short, making sure that wasn't the case. Cadian with the AWP, gonna put it to use. Almeza on the receiving end. Cadian gonna smoke out bathroom so he can actually go for a peek. A little bit more of a thin angle, and he has Esatag just behind him, so they're all reversing from the last round. Cadian, another one, sent to mass. Jerry never stood a chance. They're pushing on long. The timing could maybe catch Cadian out, but no, Snappy's up here. A great read, but not the greatest of sprays.
Yeah, did have a labored one on that 1v1 clutch last half as well, but it's all good. Unless Flit's actually going to do this. Wait a minute.
This is very doable. Wasn't far off that headshot on S-Tag either. They can breathe a collective sigh of relief.
Yep, and now ForZe going to be able to buy back in. Everyone's going to have rifles this time, and Z-Power will have that AWP. We're going to keep seeing that incendiary on that playgrounds approach. It's going to be the big question. Again, that's a hard counter to ForZe's 4-1A style that they like to implement, so they're going to have to probably make some adjustments or burn a smoke to extinguish if they want to keep up that speed.
Dual purpose as well, because now S-Tag, realizing that they have been quite slow, can start to take positions like this on balloons.
This is so suffocating, Vince.
Exactly, constricting them.
This is just Heroic really reading into ForZe's gameplay, and this is where you know that there's been some demo watching done and some prep. Like, this is really well constructed from Heroic. Unfortunately, Almazer does eventually break through, gets the quick 5-on-4 for 4, so their initial defense has faded just a bit, but still plenty of pack behind this punch as Borup clears out short B.
That is the other side of taking mid-control. Eventually, if you don't have connector, you have to be very cognizant of being flanked. And in doing so, you can give your backup for free. But Heroic have Borup in short.
Yeah, it's going to be a big monster push, though, and a lot of the CTs have drifted towards A. They're trying to cover mid because Cadian's just committed to a long A peak. And so depending on the timing here, Borup can be in a lot of trouble, but he's staying safe and short at the very least and kind of holds that routed for retaking.
Oh no, with this door being open, there's going to be no early warning system. The two players could be moving past each other. Borup wants desperately to go and help his teammates out. If he drops down, Almazer will hear him, but he's going to go into connector instead. Finds Almazer. Going to be able to trade across to the AK-47 as well if he so chooses. Decides against it. There is a boost up just on the backside of Graffiti. Post plant. Players have been spotted. Flip will return fire. Borup now going to make moves and inroads up through short. Again, trying to constrict and starve away ForZe from positioning. Z-Power's taking damage from multiple angles. Every kill the T's get is being counted instantly, but here comes FaceCrack. Kills go his way, as will the round. The flank too strong.
Man, that's tough on Heroic. I thought they played that so well. They were aware of the gaps in their defense, and they had them covered by Borup's positioning at short B and his check of connector. Then they started trading really well from that point forward, but it's just FaceCrack on that short flank. Kind of just throws a wrench in everything. Again, I have to kind of give credit to Heroic for playing it smart, but it's just ForZe making big plays. This time it's FaceCrack who does it. Oh, you can even see now the effects of that incendiary. Even though they didn't throw it, ForZe was still waiting for it. It still keeps them slowed down. And you didn't even have to spend the money to do it. That's such great conditioning that they've done to their opponent there.
Pavlov's Dogs CS edition. S-Tag off angle. Not one you're anticipating. And the first 3 kills go the way of the Danes. What an answer after taking a loss in the last round.
It's big brain plans going on here from Heroic throughout this game. I love that whenever you can watch a match and just so clearly tell that the research has been done, that the counters are out in play, and that you're able to benefit from them. And it forces ForZe to have to really dig deeper now. You know, they can't just get away with their, you know, A heavy aggressive style, maybe the occasional beast, but they have to make that adjustment. And this is where those hours that the Des was talking about, that they were doing that extra practice, needs to come into play. They probably knew Overpass was going to come through, knowing Heroic's map pool and knowing what they were going to have to ban. So they need to be thinking about what that next step is. But maybe this 2v5, maybe this is a spark you can create if they somehow pull this off.
Well, with the economy fairly low for Heroic, even if they don't win this round, if they can take some guns away, could it be enough? A hefty investment with double AWPs came through into the round, but time, again, is running. Yes, Cadian gonna get slow peaked. Never a great idea against AWPers, and Cadian continues to hit. No misses in this round for him.
Yeah, good to see him playing well. I know he had a bit of a quieter day yesterday. They were really relying on Stown and Borup to be kind of the big breadwinners to get them into the playoffs. But Cadian's a guy who has been playing pretty well for this team. When you look at some of the EPL group play, some of the online qualifiers he's seen right at home, he gets to focus just purely on opping, doesn't have to call. I'm sure he's a secondary voice, but he really gets to focus more on being that fragger. He's doing great work. And here's those incendiaries again, Vince.
Only a flashbang can be mustered, and it's 1 of 5. Now 4 remain. It was a half buy. I say that, Jerry is down to $700. Pretty costly half buy.
That's very true. Jerry is also the one, I think, that bought that AK early as well, in that kind of opening, that second round of the half. So he's been behind the whole time, really, economically.
Cadian smoking out Banana to try and help his teammate out on long. Another flick, another kill, and another flashbang. They're just walking in one by one. They need to group together. They need to move as a cohesive force. Now Snappy has made the move up from B to A. And ForZe have been put down another peg. They are now on their last lifeline.
Something needs to change here for them. Either they need to go for the faster paced B play, or they need to extinguish that incendiary and get out into Fountain faster. They need to put some kind of pressure on Heroic. Heroic are dominating the map in every direction. That's what's so smart about their play. Because they incendiary A like that, they limit the amount of players they need to play A, and they can triple stack B, they can double push short, and literally ForZe is getting suffocated all across the map. They literally have no room to work with. But here's maybe where we could see a difference. They finally go really heavy towards B.
They have, but again, they don't have connector control. Nice attack. He's laying in wait. That's a beautiful entry, though. That could be the fire they need to light up to get some inspiration, to get some momentum. But Cadian switch positions again. They're a step ahead of ForZe at every turn. Flip finally with some entries. Something for ForZe to get excited about. It's still a 2-on-2 post-plant. Grenades firing in. Flick's been obliterated. He still hasn't got the bomb planted. He's now going to come down. Z-Power's missed his Flick. Flick in the smoke and have to try and scamper away to the sanctuary of the water. He's perched up at a different angle looking for those headshots. Now backing away ever so slowly. Grenade starting to fire through. He starts a Molotov, a flash, and a smoke to his name. You can hear the smokes being deployed on the site. They both have kits, no more flashes. Gonna be holding down on the defuse. This is all on Flit. The spray's off. That should be the round going. No, they actually came off the bomb for a millisecond.
Oh,
He's gonna be throwing in the Molotov now as well. Is he gonna connect in time? It is. It could be very well the burn kill and the round going the way of ForZe.
Oh my goodness, dude. I can't believe that actually worked. They were doing so well on Heroic, man. Especially that counter utility they threw when the bomb was being planted. Those nades, that incendiary, it's paused that bomb plant for a bit. It gave them more time to position for the retake. And you see the gears turning. You really feel like it's going to map point for Heroic, but one surefire Molotov that got held on to. You don't see the GG Molotov very often on this map. That's normally kind of train territory, but man, oh man, that investment won him around.
Ouch. Z-Power instantly gets legged. 16 HP. Not too far off either. From Almaz's perspective, he's had a bit of a rough rodeo. Burrup gonna take the reins. Ooh. He's been bucked by Almaz. Throws him right out of the round. Molotov into short to stop any boost from coming into play.
I feel like what you witnessed there is the difference maker in how every other round has played out this half, and where you're finally seeing ForZe get some success. They're finally getting some territory. They're finally getting some opening picks, getting some control. But now this re-aggressor mass attack, and down the bait switch on the sandbags. Oh my goodness, it's looking like map point, Vince.
Unless FaceCrack has something truly special up his sleeve. He does at least have control of the bomb now. And time. We can try and get some of these CTs to go across towards the A site. Maybe, just maybe, he can find some effective trades. Now it's time to make a move up Monster. The crowd believes this is it. They don't have any faith in FaceCrack's abilities in this 1-on-4. A couple players have moved away though. FaceCrack slowly lumbering his way up, has spotted Stavin, but the same can be said on the reverse. 6 map points for Heroic on their choice.
Only 2 rounds allowed this half by Heroic, and both on an island. There has been no consistency here for ForZe. Again, the counter utility, the game plan of Heroic, it has really just put ForZe's aggressive style to a screeching halt, and they have not really had the tactical depth to make big adjustments to deal with this short beat pressure and deal with this utility towards Playground. It's just not been there. Now they just say, screw it, we're not even going to go towards Playground. We're just going to 5-man towards B. But again, the utility here has been great also for Heroic.
Straight in through Monster. Stavin claims the first of what could be the final round of Overpass. Jerry around the back though with the MAC-10. And Burke continues to spray, continues to pick up kills. It's back and forth though, and ForZe actually making this a possibility. They've hemorrhaged HP. FaceCrack down to a measly 21. But the timing in favor of C-Power.
He's had so much impact with the AWP. Speaking of which, Cadian's missed his one, and maybe only hope of getting this round back underway for the Danes and ForZe. They're going to hit double digits.
That's them finally being able to brute force Heroic out of that aggressive short B setup and actually be able to get into that site. It's something that is a rarity, it seems, for them. A commodity of sorts, but it comes through there. I think the biggest part of that round that was Z-Power's forward push towards Graffiti. Getting that one kill, putting Katie in the 1v2, that was really what won them the round. Now they need to march 5 more forward for an overtime, which I don't think we've seen yet this entire tournament. Every game has been decided in regulation. We've had some close ones. We've had some go all 30, but not the extra bit. But Almazer's trying to put his best foot forward to get him there. Does find that opening on Borup's aggression.
Economy is low as well, so they're one step closer to the reset. Unfortunate timing for Snappy. Still actually connected a headshot. So Flit, lucky to survive. 2 smokes and a flashbang. The only allies that Heroic have in terms of nades. Another glorious performance by Snav, and all things considered.
Yeah, I think he's, what, 25 kills, over 100 ADR. Again, just MVP candidate all the way, and he might finish it off.
They're now going to start to push behind that kill. Cadian caught in no man's land. And will be machine gunned down by Almeza, dead before he hits the ground. Essetag going to be perching up for some exit frags at best. You have to have an eye on the big picture here, Heroic. There's no point rushing this. This is how you let ForZe get back into the game.
There's also just no economy here for Heroic anymore, Vince, and this is where ForZe can really start piecing together that comeback. They'll find 11 here, probably going to get 12 next round because Heroic will not have much outside of this M4 that Essetag is holding on to here outside long B, unless he actually gets sniffed out. There are a couple of players giving chase, but he's got a good angle, so I feel like he at least gets the first one.
You may let him pass. It's not an angle you're going to check. He wants as many kills as possible. He wants to convert this as much as he can. Big brain plays by Essetag. Patience of virtue. May do more damage. The bomb helps him out. Jerry has been sprung. An AK will go through to the CTs, but still Heroic don't have much to buy behind it.
No, not at all. Just the one gun on Essetag. He's got the armor as well. He's going to buy a couple of pieces of utility. Cadian's bought a taser, Vince. You know what I feel about tasers. I am a big fan. Don't shame me.
And it is Cadian again. He was picking up quite a few of them. I think he even got a kill, the taser on Inferno. So many grenades. But there's not much really behind it from the perspective of Heroic. So ForZe not going to respect and will push in. The Bloodlust has descended. Minimal damage really inflicted back to ForZe, so Jerry can just stay in position. Easy kills, easy round. One step closer to overtime, but
Cadian's committed, Vince.
Is he going to get his Zeus skill?
I feel like it's possible. Come on, please. Just give this to me. Give me this one thing. I don't know. That angle's not looking good.
Yeah, Flip may wide peek it.
Oh, it's like a landmine. Touch it. Touch the fire. Stove's hot. Come on. Please. Yes. No, I don't think it's going to happen, is it? I don't know why I need this to happen, but for some reason, the way my brain's working, I want to see it.
Flit is looking for Cadian to be scurrying away towards the long side. I don't think he's going to overextend anytime soon. You don't want to give an AK away. He is by himself for the time being. Now he does have Z-Power coming in. Cadian shows his hand, but there is Z-Power. Shuts him down. No Zeus kill for you, Dust.
Well, always next time, Vince. Sometimes patience, you just gotta wait.
Till the right time, right?
Yep.
Save yourself for someone special.
I guess. Never mind. Just gonna let that one. I'm gonna let that one slide. Probably for the best. Probably best for my career not to say anything.
The thing is, I know exactly what's coming up in your head.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure chat will take care of it for me. I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of spams if you're part of the No Majors Club that you're aware of. Oh, here we go. A little quad stack, Vince. Oh, wait. No. Okay.
Okay then. That just happened.
Yeah, that's not a good sign, Vince. You really do hate to see that. I mean, I don't think anyone likes to see that. It really is the one time where the phrase "you hate to see it" I think is just going to be great. So apparently, Cadian's screen turned off. You do kind of need the screen to play Counter-Strike. It'd be pretty wild if you could play without it. I don't know. It'd be kind of a special case.
I think that's known as an aimbot or spin bot.
That, or you just are really good at, maybe you're like Daredevil and you can do this weird like echolocation type stuff.
What, through sound towards your monitor? That would be some next level.
I mean, Matt Murdock was able to do it, so I don't know.
He's not real.
I mean, he could read his phone.
He's not real.
He is indeed not real. Unfortunately, it's just not a real show at all anymore. Curse you,
Feels bad.
Marvel. At least we get Spider-Man back.
At least Iron Fist got cancelled.
That show was definitely really bad, wasn't it?
I'm willing to allow Daredevil to get cancelled just so Iron Fist is.
But then once you throw Punisher into it, and that's also gone.
Okay, that's a feels
Yeah,
bad.
that is a real feels bad. You know what else feels bad?
Cadian's monitor?
Yeah, that is. It's a good one. So all of this kind of a bummer, man. We had a good game going, the momentum's flowing, we're having a great cast, everything's looking great, and then you just have this unfortunate pause. Like it's like ice in the kicker. But we're back. We're back real fast, actually. This is nice. That was not too bad.
Got a question if it does hold the momentum. A little bit of ForZe coming back into this because they were looking hot.
Oh, they're gonna go for it still.
Here we go.
And
yeah, and rip.
They were just making sure there wasn't a short B push.
There we go.
Yeah.
Here it comes, ladies and gents. We're gonna have the boost. Will it yield a kill? Solid teamwork. The train has blocked them.
What a troll.
Oh, he's missed!
Oh, no! Now they know they can push A. They know that, oh, okay, like we can hold 4 position at A now because they've committed so much resources to that stack.
Well, fortunately, though, they haven't pushed playground or balloons. It's more of a bathroom occupation. 3 players here. Heroic mixing it up again.
Yeah, this is very different. This triple stack inside the bathrooms is something that ForZe has not really seen yet. And again, this is another counter to 4-1A. Like just having all these corners covered, all the trade fragging potential to trap that has been sprung. It face crack though, able to get the cheese and get out of there, but it's not for Snappy. He's found the mice.
This is where the triple stack is so deadly, so very strong. You get the first, you're not anticipating more players. Just about scampers away. That spray wasn't too far off him with the AK-47. The damage has been done. 2 kills away from securing the map. It was back and forth, as the first half was, to be fair. C-Power gonna take the initiative. Flashes out. Cadian perched up on back of the truck. May have been spotted. Needs to be very wary of that AWP-wielding C-Power, but Jerry's gone down alongside him. C-Power's missed his first and only chance to clutch it, and Heroic get across the finish line. 1-0 in the lead.
Yeah, it was a close game. Look at the scoreboard. I feel like Heroic are always in control. They had the 5-0 start in the first half, the 4-0 start in the second half, so always a hot start. They also just seemed to have a great read of ForZe's game plan. They had the hard counters in place, and you particularly saw that all throughout the second half, the way they used their utility towards playground, the way that they pressured short B simultaneously. They did not have so much space to ForZe. That's how you slow down an aggressive team. You take that space away before they can start actually going for the push, before they can start trying to get in your face. You stop them right at the starting line. And I feel like that's what Heroic did all day long, and I feel like ForZe just lacked the ability to really be able to make those adjustments. But we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have the panel, and then we'll come back for Map 2, so stay tuned, folks. We'll be back in a bit.